Hey guys, Cyrus here, and welcome to the first part of a bunch of videos that I'm going to do about mission making. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to make patrols in your missions. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just place down a little civilian to be me, and we'll go through the easiest way to place down units, which is just placing them down and getting them to move around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a fire team down here, and I'm going to get them just to patrol around this little courtyard. So to do that, you select one of them, you hold shift, and then you right click where you want them to patrol between. And then on the last point, what you do is you double click and change, whoops, what am I doing? Change the type up here to cycle. And see how that draws a line back to where that leader is. So what I'll do is I'll put him here. Oh no, I'll just put him over here. That's fine. Nope, I will put him here. So careful with your last point, because what it'll do is it actually skips this one. Wherever this one is doesn't matter. I can put it fucking all the way over here. Doesn't matter. Because what it does is it links, see that black line, to either where your group starts or to the nearest waypoint. If I move it over here, it'll flip it to this waypoint, which means that it'll move from here to wherever it's linked to. So what I'll do is I'll move it to here and keep it linked to the starting position, which will be here. Now, they are going to patrol currently in a fairly haphazard fashion. So they're going to be running around in their combat formation, looking pretty aggressive, which is probably not what you want for a group that's just patrolling around the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to change their stance and their formation. So click the first waypoint, open it up, and what we're going to do is we're going to change their formation to file, we're going to change their speed to limited, and we're going to change their behavior to safe. And hit OK, and now they should patrol in a more casual fashion. There we go. So they'll run a little bit when they start, but then they'll chill out and start walking along their patrol route in a fairly casual kind of looking way. By the way, if you want to speed up the game like this, if you've got your editor in single player mode, it's just the plus and minus key at the top of your keyboard next to the 0, and that'll speed up time up to 4 times. That can mess with some of your scripts though, so if you're testing scripts and things that have precise timings, you probably don't want to use it. And also it's not the ones on your number pad that they just zoom in and out your camera. Alright, so that's how you do a basic patrol. But let's say we wanted to make it a bit more random. Like say we wanted to make this a base that you were going to attack, and you didn't want to know that there would always be this patrol of 4 guys patrolling around here. Say you wanted to maybe sometimes have it be a larger team. So what you do in that case is we're going to use a module. So we could go to systems here, and it's already got it here, but for your purposes, type in patrol, or just pat even, we'll bring it up, and you'll have a random patrol module, and plonk it down. So the way that this works is you sync up groups and you sync up civilians with waypoints to basically give it random things to choose from. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of the waypoints for that group, and I'm going to synchronize the group leader to the module. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select another kind of group, so I'm going to select a sentry group and synchronize that to the module. Oop, just the leader to the module. And then lastly what I'm going to do is I'm going to place down a civilian. It can be any civilian, doesn't have to be the standard one, but he'll get deleted later. And then I'm going to give him the patrol route that I want. Cycle. And I'll just move him over here to this point. And then I'm going to synchronize him to the module as well. And set his first waypoint to be all those things that we did before. Limited, file, safe. And now when we run our scenario, it'll pick one of those 2 groups and send them on that patrol. So this time it selected the 4-man group. If we restart the scenario, it'll run it again. And this time picks the 4-man group again. Just gotta wait for the RNG to be nice to me and give me a different group. Grr. Fuck you. It's always when you're doing videos that the random number generator's like, nah, I don't care. There we go. There we go. So now we've got the 2-man patrol, but they go along the same patrol route. So that's a nice way to add some pretty simple randomness to your missions. But they're only going on this one patrol route at the moment. You can actually give them multiple routes to choose from too. So to do that, you just place down another civilian, and then give him a route as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this time the reverse to the current patrol route, so they'll patrol anti-clockwise instead of clockwise. And then this first one, limited save file, and synchronize the trigger to, oh god, which one was it? This guy. And now when we run it, they'll either go clockwise or counterclockwise, and it'll either be the 4-man group, which is this one, or it'll be the 2-man group. So if we restart it again,
form file 2, relax.
Yep, there we go, we got the 2-man group and they're patrolling in that direction this time. Yeah, so that's another way to do that. But let's say we wanted to make it a little bit more random. Say we wanted to have completely unknown patrol points. So like say we wanted to have a group randomly wandering around in this jungle over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move myself over here for the demo, and I'm going to make a trigger with a script on it. So what we're going to be using here is we're going to be using 2 inbuilt functions in the game, and I'll put links to the documentation on how they work down below. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up our trigger to run at radio alpha. I'm going to make it repeatable so I can do it a few times. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a call to a function called BIS FNC spawn group. And what that will do is that'll spawn at a position that you give it. So I'm going to give it the player's position. So to do that, we go position player. It spawns a group based on whichever side you want. So you can actually do some interesting things with this. So what I'm going to do is actually, to show this off, I'm going to make a CSAT group that is friendly to NATO. So I'll put West here as the side, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and find a config entry for a CSAT group. So to do that, we go to Tools, Config Viewer, then we scroll down until we find CFG Groups, and then in this case I'm going to open up East, I'm going to open up Op4F, Infantry, and I'm just going to grab an Infantry Fire Team. There we go, Infantry Team. Yeah, that must be it. Then I'm going to select this whole path down the bottom, Control C, and then in here, I'm going to go Control V. And that'll place in a CSAT infantry fire team on the same side as NATO. So you can do some really cool things with this one little function to make some really weird dynamic scenarios people might not expect. But yeah, that's only spawned our group. That's not getting us to do anything. So what we can do is we can make a variable, I'm just going to call it GRP, and set it to equal what this function creates, which means that we can refer to it later. What we're going to do now is do a function call to another function. We're going to go call BIS FNC task patrol. Now these aren't case sensitive, so don't worry too much about getting all the capitals exactly where they need to be. The scripting language is pretty polite in that regard. So what this one takes is, first it takes the group which we've created here, so we're going to go GRP first of all. Then it wants a position to start the patrol from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it from where we spawned the group. So we're going to go GRP, we're going to go position leader GRP, which will get the leader of the group and then his position. And then lastly, we're going to give it the maximum distance between the waypoints. So I'm going to give it 150 meters. Now, optionally, you can create areas and give it a blacklisted spot where it can't patrol. I might do that in a later video. But that's basically all you need to do. So, what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to place down a NATO man to show you that these guys are friendly to NATO. So, start up our scenario. And because I've got this set up to run these from a radio, what you do is you press 0, 0, and then click Alpha. And that spawns our group in. And as you can see, they're not only patrolling randomly, but the NATO guy doesn't care. These are, as far as we care, blue CSAT guys. They're not secret red guys that are captive or anything. These are actually verified allied soldiers for NATO in this way that we've spawned them. And they're just going to run off in a random direction with for a patrol, with the longest distance allowed being 150 meters. So what I can do with this is I can also wander off. Because I've made this a script on a repeatable radio trigger, I can run over here, I can place another one down. They'll go off on a random patrol, and basically what I'm saying with this is you don't have to make these positions where the player is. You could make them a random position that you select, you could make it a radius around the player, you could make it a radius around a base that you've built. You can do a lot with these two lines of code, and as you can see you can also mix and match your factions to make them different sides. That's the advantage that this has over the standard way of doing it to spawn these groups, in that you can actually set them to be different sides if you want. Whereas this one, if I placed down CSAT guys and did that, they'd be hostile to NATO. But yeah, that's a lot of different ways you can spawn groups in, and also how you can secretly make CSAT the friends of NATO. All in one video, aren't you guys lucky? Anyway, that's it for this one. Have fun, guys. I will